Hello guys, this will be my account review for the RTA season 2026 spring season. This is actually my first time playing RTA somewhat seriously. The other seasons I would just end Masters and just call it a day. So yeah, I'll be doing an account review for this season. This is my first time reaching Emperor and my first time playing RTA. I'll say it was quite the struggle, especially learning the game from scratch. I didn't know anything about RTA prior to this. I'm mainly a Guild War player. So a few things about my account. I made this account in 2022. I'm not free to play, but I'm not a whale either. I think I spent on the Mystic pack, and I used to spend for the monthly packs. The monthly pack 1 and 2, both of them, for about 6 months when I started out playing this game. I also bought Burning Passion for in the same period, but as of 1 year I haven't spent any money on it in the game because I just don't think it was really worth doing. I wasn't really having any success. But yeah, that's the state of my account. You'll notice that when I show my units that I don't really have a lot of speed, and that was what I would say is like the main thing I was struggling with this season. And also I'm missing quite a lot of ML units that I would have liked to have. So here are all the units that I currently do not own, and it's quite a big list, I would say, especially since I did start in 2022. Few units that I want to mention is, I think ML Kairon was someone I would have liked to play this season. I think Solitaria as well. We'll talk about Flan and stuff. Sharoon would have helped maybe in some drafts with Rinak, maybe versus some Sigret drafts. Designer Lilybeth, maybe into some Briar cleaves that I died a lot to. Shu is just, general, probably the best injury unit at the moment. I didn't have her either. And also Lua. I think Lua was in the right hands quite oppressive. Not the most common unit, but yeah. So these are the units that I am missing. Oh, and also Tenebria. She is also a menace this season. I did have her banned for most of the season, but still, I would have liked to have her. And yeah, before I show my units, I want to say that basically 90% of my drafting came from Meomixxed. And those of you who don't know, Meomixxed is, in my opinion, probably the best tank down player in the game. I know him from Guild War videos, but he played a lot of RTA this season. And among the people in the top 100, he, I think, is one of the only people that exclusively played turn 2, and that was perfect for me because I didn't have a lot of speed. I don't have a lot of tank gear either, but if I wanted to end Emperor, I thought to myself maybe it was good enough. So if you look at his E7GG, you'll see that a lot of the characters that I am about to talk about will be very similar to his in terms of build and pick great, but yeah, he has been basically my go-to person in terms of like how to draft and stuff. So yeah, definitely a really strong player, and he also streams as well. Don't forget, there is an E7 Masters tournament coming up, which features the top 100 people from this season, and Meomixxed will be one of them. So I'm very curious to see what he will come up with. Yeah, so let's move on to my E7 GG now. So here's my E7 GG, and you'll see that my top units are kind of similar to Meomixxed. You'll see Yulha, Ilynav, and Veronica. Now Zeo is here because I actually played a lot of Zeo Cleave, especially early on, Zeo and Ras together. Yeah, that cleave was quite fun in my opinion, especially when I was climbing the early climb, I guess, if you want to call that. But at some point I just started losing a lot, and I felt like maybe I just don't have the smarts to pull it off anymore, so I just went back to turn 2. Want to have a look at some of the drafts. You'll see that I picked Frieren a lot, especially on the last day. You'll see Frieren and Maid a lot, and I picked a lot of Iseria as well. Oh, and some Fumyr games. Some of them successful, some of them not really. But I picked a lot of Yulha as well. And these were my prevents mostly. It would be alternating between Diene Briar, Diene Sigret, and also Diene Tenebria. Simply because those units are just very oppressive. And it's just really hard to play into them. So yeah, I ended up with a 58% win rate with about 309 games. 359 games. It's honestly not the worst. But yeah, let's jump into my units now. Okay, so here are my units. I am sorting by my top speed. And yeah, let's talk about Rinak. Rinak, I feel like I didn't pick her that much. I did pick her every now and then, but I didn't exactly have the most success. Obviously the speed isn't great. I can make her about 7 speeds faster if I break my pursuit set, but honestly I wasn't really racing anyone, and I think the pursuit set helps quite a bit with her damage output. She does have quite a few units that she struggles versus, especially like Maid of Veronica, Ilynav. Those units just make her quite awkward to use, but I still picked her every now and then. If I saw maybe my opponent wasn't really playing very fast, and maybe if I had access to Maid or Lady of the Scales, I would just pick her up, and with Lady of the Scales and her pursuit takes damage, it adds up quite a bit. So yeah, yeah. So that's Rinak. Nothing much else to say. So this is the Phantom Politis. I didn't pick her that much. Again, if I saw my opponents pick slow units, maybe stuff like Ilynav Ras, something like that, then I would just pick her on 3 and just go a bit aggro. Obviously my speed isn't the greatest It's nowhere near close to 320 speed like the High Legend players are running. But yeah, the biggest problem I had using her is that I do not have Saria's artifact, Awakened Leaf, which basically makes it so you can S3 on Politis and the back unit will get pushed up. I didn't have that, so I had to settle for Special Temporal Fan. But otherwise, yeah, nothing much else to say regarding her. I was on immunity because I could then buff stack with barrier and with her built-in stealth. So versus stuff like Sigret, I could still be immune to the pushback and get my S3 off anyway if I got outsped. Next is Sigret. This unit has been very problematic, and she has been, I think she was probably one of the most broken units this season, and her cycling is too much, especially with this Goblet of Oath artifact. I was struggling versus her every time the enemy would pick into me, because I usually pick very slow. They would just run Goblet of Oath and they would just S3, S2, S3, and I would not take a turn. Obviously there's some RNG because of her fear and whatnot, but yeah, she was very oppressive. And I think, yeah, and in the last 2 days of my climb, I decided to just reban her, and I didn't want to deal with her anymore. But I did play a fair bit of her, especially in the early season. I did try to play a lot of Zeo cleaving. So for Zeo cleave, I would obviously, I did not run this artifact. I would run her own Glorious Flag. This artifact is also very, very good. Yeah, she's just really, really strong. Yeah, nothing else to say about that. Definitely one of the most broken units this season. I won a lot with her, but I also lost a lot with her. So yeah. So Lone Wolf Peira, I didn't pick her that much, but the games I did pick her, she turned out to be quite good. I went for the Uber's Tooth build just purely for the damage, and her damage ramp up is quite good. Again, this is to kind of gain tempo over the opponent. If the opponent is picking quite slow, Peira is like really, really good at getting that tempo and just keep ramping up her damage. I went on the higher damage build, and I also played her as a cleanser just in case people went like Luna Luna at some point and I needed a cleanser. I would still pick her. But overall, again, not a unit I used a lot. Here's my Luna. Again, not very high speed at all. Her build is not great either. My HP is a bit low, my attack is a bit too high. It's just basically on leftover speed gear that I had, and I didn't really pick her that much. And obviously you want to keep her build because she does come in clutch in some comps where you just need to soul burn S3 and just heal people like Tetsuka, even School Nurse Yulha. But yeah, she had her uses, but just not that much. Okay, now we are getting to what I think is one of the most broken unit ever released in the game. I think she is in the top 3 for sure, and she is also my most picked unit this season. And this unit is just way too strong. Her S3 superhuman buff, you can use it with stuff like Bellion, Genesis Ras. It's like a free 50% push and doubles your HP and speed. You just cycle like crazy. Oh, and it's also a revive. I forgot to mention that. And she's also very good versus Sigret because her passive makes it so whatever unit's taking the turn, they just cleanse one debuff. So if Sigret if Sigret fears, your unit just takes the turn anyway, as if you didn't have fear at all. And that was super broken. And this was my build. I gave her my best like bulky speed here while maintaining speed above around 275, and I tried to be as bulky as possible. I still have a lot of purple gear, obviously. These are actually pretty decent, except maybe this one. But yeah, the artifact that I ran, this was not the artifact. I ran mostly POV, but I also ran Warhorn, especially at the end of the season. And I feel like Warhorn is a lot better. The cycling is just too insane. At times, I would just get two Yulha S3s off, and at that point, you probably just won the game. So yeah, definitely one of the most broken units to have this season. And I feel like if not for this unit, I would not have reached Emperor at all. Yeah. Weird Eye Celine. She's on, I think she's on my best speed DPS build. 275 speed. I changed her artifact quite a bit, but I think this is obviously the best. You want to, if you can, it just gives you the option to pick her into lady comps. She's very, very strong, especially if you're Zeal cleaving. I did pick her a lot when I was doing my Zeal cleaves, but just in general, she's just really, really strong. Obviously, she has her counters. You can't really pick her into Bossarunka. Even any kind of like fixed damage, she just struggles quite a bit. But she is a reviver. She does a lot of damage. And yeah, she's just a really good unit overall. Lady of the Scales. Again, now this is another one of the most OP units this season, in my opinion. I think he also belongs in top 3 with Yulha. He just gives straight up 70% damage share to the front unit. And what he can do is just, I ended up, if I'm first pick and I see Lady of the Scales is open, I will immediately take her. Because that allows me to play aggressive while also not being very fast. So as I mentioned before, I would have the option to pick Rinak. Maybe Briar as well, which I will mention as I go down my speed list. Yeah, she's just very, very oppressive. I lost a lot of games because of her, because her plus Briar cleave is just unstoppable. If you can't outspeed, you just instantly lose. As for the build, I think Pursuit set is just a no-brainer. And just speed. My build is not very good, as you can see. Ideally, I want effectiveness here, because I believe that her effectiveness can come in clutch quite a bit. Her AoE Soulburn Fear is just really, really strong, but I just don't have the gear to make her, especially with Pursuit. So yeah, you can run a lot of different artifacts. When I was doing Zeal Cleave, I was doing Bird's Eye View, but I switched to this one. This one is actually quite good in negating. Sometimes it can prevent your front unit popping that immortality buff, so you can probably last another rotation. But yeah, insane unit. If you didn't have her this season, yeah, I'm not sure if it is possible to climb without her or not. Festive Eda, I didn't pick her that much. Only into some Tenebria versus some Tenebria comps. As I mentioned, I did ban Tenebria a lot of times. So she didn't really get much play, but she's actually quite good. I would have liked to have more speed, but again, I don't have big gear for that, so yeah. Fumyr, okay, now Fumyr, I actually had her built properly on the last day of the season, simply because the draft that I was doing, and I was copying Meomixxed comp, by the way, so shout out to Meomixxed. And basically I would just pick Coolness Yulha, Maid, Frieren, and then I would pick Fumyr at some point. And because the colors of my units, she would just take the turn and put everyone to sleep. And this was not the build. Her build was around, if I can show you, there we go, something like this. So I ungeared my Politis because I felt like I didn't really use her that much. But this is what I had, similar to this. And basically she would just take the first turn and just put everyone to sleep and death break, and then Frieren comes in and just wipes everything. So I picked her a few times. She was banned a few times as well. But yeah, she did win me some games, so yeah, I'm happy with her performance. So. Milim, I didn't pick her. I simply had a build because of Landy. If I saw some Landy on the ladder, I would have picked Milim, but I didn't really see a lot of Landys. Raze, I have him built had him built for my Zeal Cleave. He was a lot faster, but I had to move gear around, and I didn't really pick him up after, so yeah. Frida, I didn't play. Flan, again, Flan is, I used her for Zeal Cleaving mostly, but I did pick her here and there. Unfortunately, this is the only Flan I have. If you have two Flans, you can make one for Harceti as well, which I think is really useful, with riposte as well. But I only have one Flan, so this is the build. I think 260 is probably better, but I just don't have the gear for that. But yeah, Veronica, she was actually very good versus Diene when she came out. I didn't pick her that much towards the end because I pre-banned Diene. So yeah, Diene did not get any play in my games. Well, in early season I played her quite a bit when I was Zeal Cleaving, so yeah, really useful unit for that. Achates, I didn't really pick her, I just had her built in case I was versus a lot of debuffer like Luna and stuff like that. So yeah, didn't see a lot of playtime. Landy, I picked her a few times. I must say I didn't have a lot of success, especially because my Wall of Order is plus 15 and I would just lose the stealth prematurely. But she was still useful into some maid comps. But yeah, I didn't pick her that much. Zio. This is my general Zio build. Yeah, just for its generic use, DPS, 242 speed, just so I don't get outsped by some freaks on the ladder. Yeah, nothing much else to say. I would pick Zio into if people were playing like Rinak or something and they didn't have Bossarunka, because Bossarunka is Zio's #1 counter in my opinion. Yeah, you didn't see a lot of plays, but it was very useful to have him built. Now, as for Zio Cleave, this was not the build I had. I had him on Rot set, and the reason for that is Rot set allows you to pick Eye Celine and have her soul burn and get that special attack, so she will have a buff. So yeah, I had her on Prot set. I had a Zio on Prot set for that specific comp, but then I took it off because I wasn't really playing that comp very well. So yeah, this wasn't the build, but it was around this speed on Prot set. So yeah. Maid Chloe, I think she's one of my MVPs this season. I think I picked her in a lot of time, especially towards the end of the season. Yeah, 240 speed, I think is the bare minimum. Unfading Memories, this helps her cycle quite a bit. She's just really, really useful into like Rinak, fixed damage, and especially good if you play a lot of Frieren, which I did in the last few days especially. So yeah, she's just really, really strong. Her cycling is really good, and she's a reviver, and revivers are just broken at the moment. Briar, now Briar was quite a problem. I lost a lot of games to Briar, and I felt like very powerless to Briar Lady Cleaves. I can't make her very fast, so I didn't do any Briar Cleaving myself. So I opted for a more DPS build with Guiding Light. So what I would do is, if I had the chance to pick Lady, I would pick Lady, and then if I had the chance to pick Briar and I saw the enemy pick maybe Ruele or Maid, I would just lock in Briar, and it would oftentimes make the enemy think, oh, I'm going Briar Cleave, but I'm just DPS Briar on low build. So they end up picking like Zio and whatnot, but I have Guiding Light, so it doesn't really work out for them. And the slower speed actually helps with Lady of the Scales for her to survive a lot longer, and having being DPS is also really good to cut through some of the more tanky comps. So yeah, really strong unit this season, being an anti-reviver, and also yeah. Diene, I didn't really play Diene a lot, except when she was released and when I was Zio cleaving, because after I transitioned to turn 2, I had to ban her every game, simply because she's just way too oppressive with cleave setups. Like Briar, even Ran cleaves. Yeah, her kit is just way too overloaded. Definitely one of the strongest units this season. So yeah. Moon Bunny, didn't really pick her. Maybe once I did into some Amit cleave. Yeah, she worked out, I think. Yeah, just generic build, killer gear. Obviously, you need her to be faster, but I am broke. Opposite didn't play. Says a little bit of a says. I did play says quite a bit during Zero Cleave. My build was a lot better than this. But yeah, he's actually really strong. But only for that specific. RB didn't play. Yunua surprisingly didn't play. He just has too many counters. Empyrean Ilynav, and you have blue Diene, and he's just useless after. So. And I didn't really play Politis that much, so he wasn't very. Frieren, he's definitely my MVP, one of my MVP this season. I'm on a slower full DPS nuke build. Destruction Torrent. Really show my pieces of gear. Except for my boots there, I think they're quite good. One thing which is a shame is my artifact at the time was only plus 21. So that kind of sucked a little bit, because there were times where I wish I had enough souls to burn something like maybe a Briar Witch and etc. But what can you do? I didn't really get a whole lot of her artifacts, so yeah, definitely really strong this season. Very glad I picked her up and I was able to build her like this. She won me a lot of games. Last Rider Krau, really strong unit, especially after his buff and the Crown of Glory buff. You could pick him into Frieren and just deplete souls very quickly. He's also really strong into early Bellion picks. Yeah, just a really good knight. Has decent damage as well. Yeah. DDR didn't really play except in Zeo Cleave. In Zeo Cleave you need like at least 260 speed on Queen's Whistle, but yeah, I didn't really pick him. I just have him geared because why not? Politis didn't play. Okay, Hecate I did play, but this build is absolutely terrible. I did play her if I saw like Lady, Ruele, Maid all in one comp. Yeah, I could just lock her in on 3, and usually the games would just end before she can even S3. So yeah, very good unit to have built. Kind of a savior this season with all the revives, but yeah, it was not really enough. Ruele was still picked a lot, Maid was still picked a lot, Lady was still picked a lot, but on some cases she was actually doing her job. So yeah, definitely a good unit to have. Saria, I have her built in case I wanted to pick her with Rinak and have like an extra turn cleave kind of thing. I think I picked her once and did win, so yeah, her damage is okay. You need to be at the speed to cut with your Rinak though. I think a bit faster actually, but her damage is okay. It wasn't anything crazy. Arya, this is a pretty bad Arya build. Cannot make her on Destruction Pen set, but I did pick her a lot. Not a lot towards the end, but early season I was playing her a bit because I just really like her design. I just like her kit, and she also did get an E in the middle of the season, which helped her a bit with the Frieren a little bit, and the damage is obviously very nice. So solid unit this season. Burn. Yeah, this unit might have been one of my favorite to play, especially after this new set came out. her S3 does so much damage. It just deletes stuff like Bossarunka and the likes just with a click of a button. Granted, they don't have Ilynav and like anti-pen stuff, but she does so much damage. And you know, this set makes it so much fun, in my opinion. Riposte is good. I just had more success with Warfare set. I just press S3 and just delete someone of the game. Really fun unit. I picked her a few times, so yeah. Bellion. This is just your generic Bellion build on 3F. Counter set. I like to say this is not really that good of a build. I could probably squeeze in a bit more HP, but yeah, my counter set needs some help. Again, really solid unit to have. On paper, a good Frieren counter, a good pairing with Yulha with the superhuman buff, superhuman plus 3F, and if you have Lady of the Scales, Pursuit, Abundance, the damage like adds up a lot. If I had another Bellion, I would build her on Aureus. I think it's quite, if you have two Bellions, I think it's really useful. But yeah, I just have to settle for this. He gets countered by like Maid and LRK, so I didn't really pick her that much, but yeah, really strong unit. And she was banned a lot, especially towards the end by a lot of players, so she didn't really see much playtime. Politis I didn't play. Okay, Ruele of Light, I think she is a mistake of a unit. This unit, I feel like, took away a lot of the fun from the game, in my opinion. It's just so oppressive, so strong. Her EE is so bonkers. You can just press S3 on anyone else and apply the invulnerability on herself. And if you don't have a good means to kill her, she can just keep S3ing over and over and over again, and you just can't break through. And of course I had to abuse this. I wanted to end Emperor, but yeah, this unit was a mistake. There are a few different builds. I opted for this one. This is like my best-ish tank gear, reach set, HP on Idle Shear. A lot of people prefer going Candlestick and on Reversal. First of all, I don't have good Reversal set. And second, I feel like Idle Shear gave me a lot more wins compared to what maybe Prophetic Candlestick would have. Candlesticks is a lot better to punish like tankier players, especially when they don't have damage to break through your Ruele. You can just cycle your S3, S2, S3, S2 over and over. But Idle Shear just helps you cycle a lot more in general. Yeah, I just preferred having this. Overall, broken character. I think she needs to be removed, quite frankly. Yeah. All in Cecilia. I had her built. I ended up not picking her that much because I just ended up picking Maid. I needed like any extra damage mitigation, but she's still a solid unit. Yeah, so didn't play Focus Ravi. I didn't play, but I still had her gear just in case. Lionheart Cermia, I can't remember if I picked her this season or not, but It was good into some Setsuka comps. On symbol, of course. Destroy immunity, just do a generic build. Yeah, it was useful to have for sure. These units I didn't play. Genesis Ras. Now, this was not the build I had at the time, but it was something similar. I had a lot lower HP. This is my event craft. But yeah, Genesis Ras, one of the strongest DPS in the game, and he's also free, so everyone had access to him. Him plus Yulha was a really deadly combo. He was also really good with Sigret, good pairing with Sigret, good against Sigret because he's immune to debuffs, obviously. Yeah, just really solid unit. He has 100% def pen on his S3 and it hurts like a truck. It hits like a truck. And if you don't have Ilynav on the team or some really strong mitigating knight, you're going to take a lot of damage. He is very strong. And in every game, almost, if you manage to live through your revive and whatnot, you're almost always able to get 2 S3s off. And that's usually enough to end the game. So yeah, I picked him quite a bit, especially during Zeo cleaving. But otherwise not that much. I think Frieren was my go-to DPS. But if Frieren was taken, I would sometimes pick him up. Taeyou, this is my headhunt unit. Really strong, especially after the EE, which gives him a 100% death break chance. I think he's the only unit with a 100% death break chance, which you can soul burn. Again, really good with Zeo, Diene. He just does so much damage. I picked him up a few times. I had him a lot faster than this because you want to cut. You want to take the next turn. I also paired him with Phantom Politis. But yeah, nothing much more to say. Mort, this is my really not so good Mort. I did not have him built until Iseria came out. And yeah, he's just on a very mid leftover destruction gear. Not a lot of bulk on Holy Sack, but yeah, mainly 99% of the time I just picked him versus Setsuka and Iseria. He sometimes does the job, sometimes he just dies to aggro if the enemy pivots into like Iseria and then goes a lot more aggro with Frieren, maybe a Briar Witch, then your Mort just becomes useless, right? So Mort wasn't really a one-to-one counter to Iseria, but again, very useful to have unit. Yufine, I didn't have a lot of use for her. This is just some emergency gear I had for leftover, just in case. Maybe I needed to pick her, but yeah, didn't pick her that much. Hwayoung. Now, Hwayoung was in a bit of a weird spot. I feel like I lost more games with Hwayoung than I won. But especially after Iseria came out, because she had some use. Like she could almost one-tap Iseria with her S3. She also has that RNG factor. If the enemy decides to proc your Divine Vessel, we could play for that win con. But yeah, her gear is quite decent, but again, just very weird unit. Sometimes she does her job, sometimes she doesn't. And when she doesn't do her job, it just feels really bad. Especially for something that she's made to do, she doesn't do, which is kill light units. And you'd think she'd be good into Ruele, but more often times than not, she's just sitting there doing nothing. 85 crit because I usually just pick her into light units. But yeah, that's her. Iran just prot set, please whistle, nothing crazy. Just pick her into Arceti. Adin again, I just picked her into Arceti if Arceti shows up. Nothing crazy. Arceti, I didn't really play a lot of Arceti. I feel like she's not great of a pick. I don't know. I didn't really have a lot of success playing her. Because enemy would just go Young Xenia, Aram or Aiden and Setsuka, and the game becomes a bit hard. But I had her build regardless in case the enemy team in case the enemy locks in like very fast openers very early on and her cities for some reason open, I would pick her. And I would often pair her with Flan, even though my Flan is the faster speed one, but you know, it still get the job done. Yulha, I tried picking Yulha a lot into a lot of the Briar cleaves, but it just didn't really work. Because her reflect damage actually doesn't really work into Lady of the Scales especially. And if she dies, the reflect damage doesn't go off, so, and she dies pretty quickly. Even, yeah, I don't really have a lot of bulk, but yeah, still, she wasn't really doing a whole lot. Commander Pavel, very few times I picked him, but yeah, nothing much else to say, just full damage. Requiem Roana, just have her built in case I picked like Zio on 3 and I needed some tempo on the enemy team. So yeah, that's it. This is my second Yufine with Aureus. I didn't pick her at all, but she's just there in case I needed her, but I didn't. Tetsuka, okay, she is a unit that I played with and played versus, and I have to say this unit is not fun. And it's not fun when you win with her, she's not fun when you lose against her. It's just very RNG. She's either the best unit in the game or the worst unit in the game. There is no in between. Yeah, simple riposte community. Nothing crazy. I think my gear is not the greatest. Also plus 15 on the artifact, but I did pick her here and there, and I did win some undeserved wins, so it is what it is. Crimson Armin, I did pick her quite a few times, especially early on when I was playing Boss Arunka, DPS Boss Arunka, and if Ilynav was banned or taken, and this would be my go-to mitigation. Really, really strong. She helps live process 3 as well, even without the death pen. Her mitigation is just really, really broken. Yeah, with the EE and her passive, really strong. Didn't play. Young Xenia, short set immunity, proof of friendship. In case they pick Arceti, because usually I would have like Frieren on 3 or Rinak on 3, so they're already grass units. I would just pick Young Xenia and that usually gets a ban, post ban from the enemy. So really, really, really nothing much to say. Ilynav, now her build changed quite a bit. I think prot set immunity and 100 ER is ideal, but this is my best prot set tank gear that I have, and I just slapped it on her. She's just such a valuable unit. So many units in the game just does pen damage. Frieren, Ras, whatever other DPS out there. They just do so many of them just do death pen damage, and Irina just completely neuters them just by being there. Oh, Hecate as well. Hecate is completely useless versus her. Yeah, that's it. Landy, this is my prot set Landy. I did pick her a few times versus Tenebria when I left her open, just so I can buff stack my DPS, and it did work out pretty well, I would say. Again, a pretty niche tech, more like a Guild War tech that I brought in, but yeah, she did her job well, I think. Not last, but Iseria. I actually pulled her like few days before the season ends, before her banner ends. She's actually a really funny unit. She's basically Setsuka in the sense that she has so much RNG. She can either win or lose you the game, depending on how the game feels like. Because oftentimes, whenever I pick this unit, I would just see Mort. And it's actually really easy to abuse Mort if they pick Mort on tree. You can just like aggro up, speed up, and just kill the Mort before anything happens. This is my build. There are a lot of variations for sure, but I chose to go with Pursuit. My Pursuit gear is not the greatest. My attack stat is really low, but yeah, she was just on like emergency gear at the time. I didn't really have a whole lot to work with. The 100 ER cut came in clutch, and the tankiness is quite good. I think 21k is quite good. But yeah, I think I have like a 50-50 win rate with her. Yeah, I didn't really have a good foundation on how to use her properly, but she's still very fun to play. Better, more so than Setsuka in my opinion. But yeah, very strong this season. Very strong DPS this season. Yeah, I think this is like the last unit that I want to talk about. He's on just pure defense and a little bit of HP and a little bit of FRES. An RPG. I like the RPG build a lot more than the Noble Oath build or the full protection set build. I think the full protection set build is more for like aggressive players that want an anchor, but I had a lot more success playing with counter RPG. There are a few games where I just play DPS Arunka. So yeah, obviously this is not nearly as good as Meomixxed Arunka, but I tried my best and it was good enough for me, especially in the ladder. One of my MVPs this season, one of my most picked units as well. And yeah, that's about it. I don't think I want to talk about anyone else. Overall, I want to say it was oddly fun playing RTA. I used to be just a Guild War player, and it was very different going into RTA. There was a lot of things I learned, a lot of drafting, a lot of stupid drafting too, but it's all a learning process. I will say I was a bit disappointed with my performance. Maybe if I played a little bit more, or had I known about the game a little bit more, I could have had a better win rate with less games. But as I said, it is my first time playing RTA. Maybe in the future I'll try to push for Legend. Who knows? With the speed that I have, might be a bit difficult, but we will see. But anyway, that's it for my account review. Well, before I leave, I want to give some quick shoutouts. Brother Zoom, Grim, with a nice greetings message, and Anna. They have been here with me since the beginning of my E7 journey, and they are the reason why I've been playing this game ever since, and I've had a lot of good memories with them. So yeah, just want to give them a quick shout out. And also my brother Kev here, he was my RTA buddy. He also ended Emperor alongside me. His style is a bit different to mine. I think he plays like everything, basically. I learned a lot from him, and we would just watch each other play at times. So yeah, he's a bit of a weird guy, but yeah. Oh, and also, last but very not least, I want to give a quick shout out to my brother Dan here from Palladia, tournament winners, by the way, Giga Chad. Yeah, I've learned a lot from him as well. I would just stream up some RTA, and he would give me pointers here and there, and yeah, I'll just learn a lot. And sometimes we'd do some stupid stuff, and honestly, it's just been a lot of fun. So yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to him. That's my goat right there. But yeah, so yeah, that's been this season of RTA, and I'll see you guys next time.